He thought he was hustling me for cupcakes and coffee. And I was like, nah.
You were hustling him for 10 words.
I'm getting 10 words a day. And eventually, I just started reading. Little by little, I started using education as my transformation. And I always felt like ignorance put me in prison. Education is going to get me out. No matter what you've done, you could transform yourself if you invest in yourself.
Thank you and welcome back to Come Home Ready. I am here, still in Philadelphia, with another good friend of mine. And if you've been watching any of these episodes, you notice they're all friends of mine. So I am with Luis Suave González. I call him Suave. I think everybody calls you Suave just about.
Well, it's in my birth certificate. That is my real name. But thank you. You can call me Suave.
All right, Suave. So really nice to have you here. And if you have not seen anything, pay attention. Coming soon, as he says, to a tablet near you, his podcast. So May 2025, if not sooner, start looking out for a whole new set of podcasts from justice-impacted people who have been in prison and who today are providing information, inspiration to let you know how you can not only come home ready, but you can come home and stay home. And we're all showing the paths that we took. So Suave, just take a few minutes and just kind of share with us your story and, what brought you to kind of where we are today, this conversation.
For me, it started in 1982 when I was sitting in my grandfather's barbershop in New York and somebody walked in and shot him while he was giving me a haircut. At that moment, I just felt like my whole world ended and a new world began. Because I decided, I'm hurting, everybody else got hurt. I'm from New York, the South Bronx.
I hear the accent.
Born and raised. So my mother decided, you know what? New York is not for us no more. I'm moving to Philadelphia. And at first we thought it was Beverly Hills because she made it sound like this is going to be a brand new house. So we moved to Philadelphia. We end up in this place called the Badlands. The worst part of Philadelphia ever. And I'm like, really, Mom? And she was like, yeah, this is our new home. Right down the block, people doing what they do. Around the corner is a cemetery. And we this ain't it. But I just fell in love with the streets. And I just started hanging out with people. To the point where I knew how to spark a New Yorker. I was like, oh, that's from New York. So, we formed our own clique. Bunch of kids. And one day, I get picked up at school by the police. I'm thinking, oh, it's about me doing graffiti on the walls. And they was like, no, you're getting charged with a homicide. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? It was like, that mean that allegedly you killed somebody? And I was like, not me. So at first, I'm going to be cool. I ain't do nothing. Get taken in. They charge me. Don't know how to read and write. So I don't know what the heck I'm signing. My mother's not there. I get put in the county jail. Spend a year. Go to trial, 1-day trial, get found guilty. And I'm sentenced to life without parole, 10 to 20, 5.5 to 10, 1.5 to 2.
Those are a lot of numbers. But the life part, I understand.
And I'm like, I'm supposed to do all this.
And how old were you then?
By that time, I was 17.
But it was 16 when you were 16. Arrested.
And my mother was like, it's going to be all right. Eventually, they're going to find out the truth. My mother had a 4th grade education. She believed in the system more than me. So I get put in prison. I get sent to the worst prison in PA, which is Gratis Fall. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. But something in me was like, you can survive, bro. So I became part of the prison fabric. So for the first 10 years, I was everywhere. I was starting trouble, which eventually landed me in solitary confinement. And in solitary confinement, I was getting, letters from my mom. My mom couldn't really write, so she just write love and just put a heart. I knew what it meant. And I couldn't even read that. So I'm doing 7 years in solitary confinement. I got to find something to do with my life. So I started paying another person to show me how to read. First of all, he started off, can you read this letter for me? Then he was like, I'm tired of that. I'm going to show you how to read. So I used to go to commissary and get Little Debbie cupcakes. I used to give him a cupcake. He used to give me 10 words. And I used to remember the words. He thought he was hustling me for cupcakes and coffee. And I was like, nah.
You were hustling him for 10 words.
I'm getting 10 words a day. And eventually, I just started reading. Baby words, but I was reading. And then it got to the point where I could read, 4th grade, 5th grade books. And then I met this lady, Maria Nahosa. She started sending me books. And I started memorizing her books. I used to pay people, can you read this book to me? And they used to read it, and I used to memorize it. And then go back and read what I memorized. That's how I learned how to read.
And how old were you by this time?
Like 20, 21. So I come out the hole, and I said, I want to take a GED. I tried 7 times. That's why 7 is my number. I tried 7 times, and I used to fail all the time. Like, I can't do math. So I paid somebody in the jail. Can you show me how to do math? Finally got it. Passed the GED. I signed up for a college degree program. And I didn't know that being in college was going to be that hard. Took 16 years to get a bachelor's degree because they was only coming in 1 time a year. Mm-hmm. But I stuck with it. I got life where I'm going. Mm-hmm. And little by little, I started using education as my transformation. I went from being the biggest troublemaker in the jail to a student. And people used to laugh at me. Why is you getting an education? You don't need that. You're not going nowhere. You're going to die in prison. And my response was always the same.
What was that?
Thank you. But I want to be prepared on day one in case that door opened. Mm. And this was decades before I knew I was coming home. And I always felt like ignorance put me in prison. Education is going to get me out. So I started writing.
I like that for the record. Ignorance put me in prison, but education got me out.
So I just started writing. I became a ghostwriter. I wrote 5 books of my own. And I was like, there got to be something else. There got to be something else. So I remember watching this movie one time. I seen an artist in there scrape the magazines with a razor blade to get colors. And I just started doing that. Because I had no money for art supply. So I used to collect all these magazines and just scrape the colors, dab the brush, and started painting. And I became really good painting watercolors.
And I have to pause because we're going to find a way to make sure we get some of Suave's art so that you can see it.
Yes.
Amazing art. But it started while you were in prison.
Yes.
So you never dabbled with art prior to going to prison?
Nope.
And you were 16.
16.
Got arrested in school.
In school.
But couldn't read.
Couldn't read or write. How crazy it was that I was in the 10th grade. Couldn't read and write. And the crazy part was, till about 3 years ago, my name was spelled wrong.
When you say your name was spelled wrong, like on your birth certificate, or you were spelling it wrong?
I was spelling my name wrong. I always thought it was spelled one way. So I was like, that's not my name. They wrote a big article on that. And I tell people I didn't know. I always thought it was González with an S.
That's why you always tell me González with
a
Z. Okay, now I know.
And so, I'm in a prison and I'm like, damn, we got to do something. We got to do something. I got really good doing art and writing. Really good. To the point where I told my mom, you don't got to send me no more money. I got this. And I started using my artwork, to survive in prison. My writing to survive in prison. But then I was like looking at all the young guys coming in. Because even though I was young myself, I just felt old.
So you grew up
because I'm in prison.
Yeah,
just felt old.
You had been there probably for 10 years. So.
And I'm like, this got to stop. At that time, the jail banned music from inside the prisons. They banned the media. So we was completely shut out from the world. And I was like, nobody's going to remember my name. But the only thing that we could put our name was art and send it out. And I just like, one day we could do a mural from here. So I just started researching. And I came up with the mural arts. And I wrote Miss Golden and I told her, listen, will you come visit us? We got some real dope artists up here. And I teased her a little bit. I sent her a piece of work. So you could keep that. She came to the prison. And then when I saw her, I was like, oh, Lord, here we go again. Because people were used to coming into prison, taking our ideas and don't come back. They go get a grant, don't come back. And the first thing I told her, are you a tourist? Are you just here to see what we got and gone? And for some reason, she took that real personal. And I was like, I got her. She take it personal, I got her. And we started working. And we did this mural for this school called the Christian Academy. And somehow the artist left the whole mural that we did in a van. And somebody stole the van the day before that mural was to be installed.
Oh, wow.
And I was lit. I was like, bro, you better not come in here, bro. You better not come in here. So I went to the superintendent and I told him, will you allow us to do this mural again? He was like, yeah, but y'all not going to have time. I said, sure. If you let us stay out throughout count time. He was like, I said, yeah, we work all night.
Which everybody in prison now, count time is
very,
very
moves.
Serious. No, nothing moves. They got to know exactly where you are.
For 3 days, the superintendent said, you got from Friday to Monday. We was working 20 hours a day painting that mural, and we did it. We repainted that mural again.
Wow. Now, that's one, it's dedication. It's social capital, because you obviously had good favor, good relationship with the warden and the staff to be able to get them to say yes to that.
What came out of that was that the superintendent thought that he was using me to keep control of certain people. Because everybody in the mural arts was a lifer that was involved in all the crazy things. And my thing is, if you want to be part of this, you got to leave that alone.
Got it.
And they agreed.
So it was a win-win situation.
They agreed. So when the superintendent saw that, he was like, whoa. And then I was like, you know what? What about if you make this a real job for people? And that's how we created the Restorative Justice Program. And that was the moment for me when I knew, no matter what the doctors and the psychiatrists said that I was crazy with an IQ of 56, that I could really think and create. So I started creating a bunch of programs in the jail. Because in PA, if you're a lifer, you're not allowed to participate in prison programs.
And most facilities, state and federal, if you have a life sentence or a longer sentence, you don't get any programming.
So what I figured out was, if I create them and run them myself, I could participate. And that's how we started the college program. That's how we started the education over incarceration scholarship. When I tell you, people used to laugh at me. The same people that 10 years before would never say a word to me. They were now like, he's changed, he's crazy, he's soft. And I used to always tell people, that's my name, Suave, soft. Because I was on a mission to prove a point. And the point was that you can make a difference no matter where you are.
Let's build on that a little bit. You said that, one, learning to read those 10 words a day was part of a pivotal spot. And then
Yes.
also it was the art.
Yes.
I know some of the accomplishments that you have today and amazing things that you've accomplished, and you're not even close to finished on a lot of the stuff that you're working on. But 16 years of education. So I have to add that too. So it was learning to read, it was the art, and at the same time, it was the education. And at the same time, you were creating programs and opportunities to learn that you could participate in.
Yes.
For the record, that's like almost a classic definition of entrepreneurship.
It is.
And in many cases, you see a void in society and you fill that void. You saw the void internal to the place that you were living and you started filling that void.
Yes.
So it only makes sense that you're being an entrepreneur the way you are.
I mean, but at the time, I was like, I know I'm not getting out. I got life. Mm-hmm. And I saw the potential in so many of the young brothers that wasn't being allowed to participate in school because they was wilding, so it was like a way of me telling the system, we don't need you, we could do this ourselves. I had over 1,000 books in my cell. You're only supposed to have 10. And I was like the library. Hey, read a book, read this book. And what I wanted to do was prove a point to people that no matter what you've done, you could transform yourself if you invest in yourself.
So let's transition a little bit to, you came home from prison. You were in prison for how long again?
31 and a half years.
31 and a half years.
And 85 days and 26 hours. I got it.
Yeah, I mean, 31 years, you might as well keep counting, right? All the way down.
Yep.
So you were in prison for 31 and a half years. And do you remember the first day you were released?
Yes.
What did you do?
November 20, 2017.
And what did you do on that day? What was the first thing you did?
I went to a public school.
That was the first thing you did?
The first thing I did.
You didn't go eat?
No. I ain't ate for about a week after that. I went to a public school and apologized to my community and to the kids that I led there.
That day? Wow. You're the first person that I've ever asked that question.
That's public information.
Yeah.
Yes.
That has said something like that. Yeah. And so why did you feel the need to do that?
Because I was talking to the kids of my friends in prison. Mm. And I knew that after that, I'm going to work in that community. And those are the people that I needed to reach, the young people. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I went in there, talked to them, kept going back, became a mentor for a lot of them, and kept a lot of them from prison. That was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was rush back to the halfway house because I was late. I was late.
Yeah.
And
because most people are just stopping to get like a burger, a quick lunch, and you can usually slip in 30 minutes of a meal, but not a whole mentoring
I never looked
session.
at my freedom as something to celebrate, something to be like, oh, I'm free, let's do this. I always believed that I was given a second chance for a reason. And I still don't know that reason, but I'm constantly searching for it. And I just believe that there's nothing to celebrate. Because even though I was in prison for a crime I didn't commit, a life was taken. And I got so much respect for the victim's family because they came to court and spoke for me. I still see some of them today. Hey, man, we proud of what you're doing.
Good.
So how do I come out and just be in their face? And they live in the community. Mm-hmm. I live in the same community that the offense happened. Mm-hmm. So how, I don't have the heart to look at them and just like, yeah, I didn't. Nah. I had that much respect for them. Because they could easily come to court and say, we don't want him out. Instead, they went to court and was like, we didn't even know he was still in. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was it. That was like, wow. So, nah.
So, what I do know is, and I want to now get you to brag a little bit on yourself. I know the work you're doing, and Suave does a lot of work. But let's talk about, now you're going to have to celebrate a little bit. I don't care. Let's talk about some of the great stuff that you're doing, like the Pulitzer Prize.
I don't know if that's that great. I really don't, because I still don't, and this is serious, like, I still don't have a clear understanding of what a Pulitzer Prize is. You gotta remember, I went to jail, I didn't even know my name. So, I'm really learning what it means, but I still don't have a clear understanding of, oh, Pulitzer Prize is this. I'd hear it from people like, you got a Pulitzer Prize? And at one time, it was almost offensive to me when I go speak in different places and people just be like, Pulitzer Prize winner. And I always got to tell people, before I was a Pulitzer Prize winner, I was AS0834. I was a number. And I never want to forget that.
So two things can be true. I couldn't remember your number because you said it so quickly. But you could have been in that number represents you. But so does the fact that you're a Pulitzer Prize winner.
I'm learning to accept that today. Seriously.
Okay. Good. So on this day, we're going to accept it together.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be a part of your journey to make you keep accepting that, because what a huge accomplishment. And when I think about your story of inspiration and inspiring others, again, what you can do now is learn what it really means so that you can share it with others, and so more can come behind you.
And that's what I'm doing. I always believe that everything happened for a reason. When I learned that I was the first formerly incarcerated person to ever receive a Pulitzer Prize, I was like, huh? Say that again? And to me, what that means is, like, we have no excuse to come home and not be ready. Mm-hmm. That door is open. Here you got a guy that learned how to read when he was like 24. Today holds the highest award that you could give in journalism. I mean, at the pinnacle, like a Pulitzer Prize. People.
So you kind of know what it is.
Today I do. But people have dreams of becoming reporters to win this. And here you are, and here I am, someone with a 56 IQ, crown. Do you know what that tells me? That if I could do it, anybody that's coming home could do it. That door is open. Who's next? It's been like 108 years since the Pulitzer's been in the system. Mm-hmm. And I'm the first formerly incarcerated person. What's wrong with that picture?
Yeah. So what we're going to have to do, I know, and this is going to be your job, not mine, but I'm going to stay on you. Because with this episode, we're going to have to maybe like write a blog about and really bring in a lot of your accomplishments. And
now I want to brag a little bit since you got me open.
Okay, because I was going to say, because you don't know how to brag on yourself, so you're going to have to put it on paper.
I also won the IDA, the International Documentary Award, which is, at the time, which is still considered the Oscars of podcasts. We won that back to back.
And you won it for the podcast.
It's my story, Suave.
Your story, which was your story of incarceration.
Yes.
Is it from incarceration or incarceration to freedom?
No, incarceration to freedom.
Got it. Awesome.
And adjusting back to society after 31 years.
Okay. So the blog post that I just said, we're going to work on that one?
Yes.
Because we need that to go a part of this. Because
absolutely.
We could talk for a long time.
And I just think that we need... I don't like to brag, but I like to tell people, I hope you could get inspired. I hope I'm not the only one. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to see, while I'm still living, another returning citizen win a Pulitzer. Mm-hmm. That's my dream. And because, yes, it feels good to be the first, but I don't want to be the only one. I really don't.
As you've been talking, the I'm reminded of something that a mentor some time ago said, which was, intellect is everywhere, opportunity is not. And so when I listen to you talk, that's what I keep hearing, is the fact that you were brilliant then and you're brilliant now.
It's about creating opportunities
Yeah,
for others.
but for a lot of people, it was the lack of opportunity.
Right.
You know, but
You know, and to me, I'll tell you what, to me, is about letting the system know that when we tap into the genius of other people, this is what can happen. I don't believe for once that I was crazy, retarded, like them papers say. They say that. The New York City school district say that. Psychiatrists say that. I never believed it. I just play along with it. Like, oh, okay, I'm crazy. I'm going to do crazy things. I never believed that. I still don't believe it. I always tell people, either they had it wrong or I'm a genius, because IQs don't vary. You know.
Well, I need you to do something. I need you to look in this camera. And I want you to talk to someone who, that you want to inspire, maybe the next Pulitzer Prize winner, or the next artist, or the next, I could go down a long laundry list of things that you've accomplished.
Listen, bro. My sisters, my brothers. I got one message. Leave the basketball games alone. Leave the poker tables alone. Get yourself a dictionary. Learn them words. Even if you could read, better yourself. Learn. Sit in that cell and start peeling them layers that you had covered yourself with for years. And maybe you're going to find yourself, maybe you're not. But if I could do it, someone that was told you would never learn how to read and write, you would never get out of jail. If I could do it, if I could win a Pulitzer, if I could win an IDA, if I could talk my way into FX to create an unlimited series that I wrote while in solitary confinement, I know you could do it because you are smarter than me. Seriously. And I'm not just bragging because I want to brag. I'm just telling you what you could do. We here to give you the opportunity. I'm not the one that like to keep the connect away. I share my platform. I share my connect with people that I feel could use it. So you have no excuse. And you probably thinking like I used to think before. Oh man, you just saying that because you free. Correction. I'm never going to be free. You know why? Because I'm still on lifetime parole. So that means if I cross the street the wrong way, if I spit on the floor, throw a piece of paper, I could get violated and taken back to prison. So I'm still under the DOC watch. But that don't mean nothing to me. It don't stop me. I wake up every morning and I try to do good. Because when you do good, good things will come to you. Nobody cares what you're in prison for. The only thing I care about, that you come home and you have the desire to grind. You have the desire to want to do it. Because if you do, call me. I'm not hard to find.
So you heard it here. Luis Suave, González with a Z. So happy to have you and for you to share your story. And we're going to have to get that blog together. But you're going to hear more and more from Luis Suave. So thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.